Good afternoon, Scott Baker.
Mikey Ames, how are you? A field note entitled, and the title is pretty straightforward, The Problem of Celebrating Short-Term Milestones. That's pretty clear. You can't wait for the trophy celebration. You can't just wait for that moment. Okay, short-term wins is a gain. But here's what I'm going to say. There's a problem. We're going to figure it out in this edition of Lead Better, which is probably going to be really, really good. And in the last minute, we'll be like, that was our best one yet. But I don't want to wait until the last minute of this particular edition. And maybe 6 or 7 minutes into this, we'll need to just reflect a little bit.
Right.
Enjoy the progress that we've made. Mark
Yes.
it as a notch on the way to
Yes.
ultimate domination.
Did you do anything for your paper anniversary?
Is that what is that number 7? can't remember what year is that.
The first year is paper.
Well,
Second year is cotton. Third year is leather, right? But all of those seem like nobody even knows what they are. Those milestones are kind of something around that, right?
Now, I do have a friend who has been is marking. I think it's the 25th wedding anniversary, and he commissioned a ring by a famous designer in Europe, and spent 2 years working with that designer on developing this ring.
Oh no!
No, it's all good. I think it's a spectacular success. But I was like, what are you going to do for 50? And by the way, you're screwing this up for everybody else. Like, I can't even show the picture of this to my wife. There's a problem here. Now,
the analogy is holding up there.
It is holding
up. What
no
you're
doubt.
Saying about what are you going to do for 50 is kind of the problem here, right?
I hadn't thought of it that way, but you're exactly right. So the issue here in the heart of the field note is not that, hey, you should celebrate short-term wins on the way to the big victory. The issue is that many leaders resist this because they think if you say, hey, everybody, great job. We're going to actually have taken everybody to dinner tonight, or I've gotten everybody's, some spectacular benefit. You're all getting tickets to the big game, whatever it is. We're going to go and everybody can come to the company box. Right. And the fear is that everybody will be like, oh, well, we don't have to try so hard.
We're already
take the foot off the gas. We're doing great.
Right. Now, I'm a person who thrives on compliments. So as soon as I get that first compliment, I could see how my psychology might just light up a little bit.
You're not just then instantly more hungry for the next compliment?
No, not usually. It takes it's this weird cycle for me personally.
Sure. Okay. So it's not like, oh, I've had a few of the M&Ms and now I need 400 of the M&Ms.
No, if I get a compliment, I ride on that until I get this sense that I've done something wrong or I've messed something up, or maybe that sense just comes from there's been too much time between the last time she thought about that time that she gave me a compliment, right? And now I have to work for it again, right? So you could accelerate that in my weird psychology by, saying something quite negative to me the next day, right? Or even pretending like she's dissatisfied with me in some way, right? And oh man, when I
don't know why that you're speaking of this in a specific gender term as though you have somebody very specific in mind.
Well, I have two people in mind. One, an old dating relationship that was very manipulative.
Listen, we're now getting into dangerous territory that I don't want any part of, because I don't want this coming back on me where I'm later going to be asked, well, why didn't you respond this way to that particular illustration that Mikey was giving?
Right. No, I got you. Someone close to you is going to watch this. Right. So no, but
I'm worried that someone close to you is going to watch this and call me.
Yes. But the concern of that is exactly the same. It's this notion of, as a leader, I don't want to give out the celebration or the compliment or whatever it might be too quickly, because there has to be a letdown after that. Like, we have this natural thought of like, where's the letdown going to be? And I don't want that letdown to be something that actually affects performance if we're not anywhere close to the finish line anyway, right?
Right.
So if you can raise your hand on the Tour de France race at there's 7 different peaks on any one mountain stage, but the finish line is what people can celebrate for winning the points at the king of the first 3 mountains, right?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Stages.
Yeah, right.
So and there's an easy answer here that I think can solve the issue for the leader who's worried that people are going to take their foot off the gas pedal on this. But I think that we also have to kind of first kind of grapple with, and this is not explicitly stated in the field note, though I think it's there, which is, well, let's just think about the why, because if we get the why right, we'll be more motivated to figure this out, which is, all right, between the celebration of the mild marker on the way, and that's mild marker, not mile marker. Like, we had a little win. This is good. We're headed to the big win. This is what we ultimately like. We want to land that contract. We want to win the championship. We want to move to the next level. We want to be, finally, get in, we're going to go from the minor leagues to the majors, whatever your metaphor is. But I like the phrase that I sometimes use. I think it's a David Cook phrase, which is, well, what does it look like 20 minutes before the trophy celebration?
Mm-hmm.
Chaos, mayhem, pressure. It's on the precipice of disaster, right? So you could be win. It's getting tougher. The competition's getting harder. There's some new global, political situation that's popped up, and all of a sudden, it's very much in doubt. And so you could have a win, and all of a sudden, it gets more intense as the closer you get to the pinnacle of what you're trying to get to. That you need to have your team continuing to have their eyes on the prize. And if they've had no nourishment along the way to feel the vibe of that, are they going to be ready to have the mental toughness? So I think this can feed the mental toughness that can push everybody over the top to that ultimate victory. Now we can unpack and talk about exactly the way that you make this appropriate.
Right. Now, before we get there,
we're about, wait, excuse me.
As you're talking,
how have we done so far? We're about, almost midway through this edition of Lead Better.
Yes.
And this will be a holiday edition.
When you call that out, what are are you marking like a stage in the hero's journey where, as I'm going around this circle, you're just calling out, we're almost, hey, I know it feels like everything's falling apart, but this is where in the hero's journey, we have our all is lost moment.
Yeah. Right.
And it's always going to let's sprint now, because this is, look at what heroics look like, a real hero's journey. Keep going. So is the pausing in that moment in a lot of way, is it our human need to kind of acknowledge where we are in the hero's journey there? Is it like fitting into the story as we go around? Like, how does...
For sure. Listen, I'm trying to motivate you, and I'm trying to motivate me. And by the way, I'm also trying to motivate the people that could be watching or listening to this, because they were like, yeah, I kind of like this idea of what this means to kind of mark the milestones. And I'm a leader in this. And so I decided to click in. But then they're deciding, I think I read the field note. I probably don't need to listen to the last 6 or 7 minutes of this. Now there's cool. And this is where the 20 minutes before the trophy celebration, things are getting tense, which is, I think we set this up really well. We could totally fall apart here in the next 6 or 7 minutes. I've got a couple of great illustrations and some things I want to underline in this field note.
Right.
And some of the people listening might not get there. Right. So the fact that obviously we're being a little too cute here. We're reflecting here for just a little minute in the middle and trying to mark this fact that we set this up pretty well. I feel good about this. All right, let's nail it. Let's take it home. So how would you go about, for the leader who says, I don't like this idea of having, like, I'm ordering pizza for everybody. It just seems like it's a goofy thing, but how would you do it in a way that helps build the kind of momentum that we're talking about?
Well, some of it might be just identifying the milestones that you're going to choose to hit, right? Mm-hmm. So if you have a thermometer that is just in your head, right? What does 80% mean? What does 60% mean? Like, these moments that you're actually going to celebrate, where is it? How can you measure that? Sometimes the productivity doesn't come out as a clear 80%. Mm-hmm. So you need to identify where those moments are, so that when you reach them, it's already something in their mind is like, okay, worth celebrating, worth at least reflecting on that we've done this. Because otherwise, it just becomes this thing, right? Like the number of field notes that our organization has written.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
We don't have an end goal in mind as to every
Right.
day for the last 3.5, almost
No, it's
more
been
than
4
4
years.
years
It's
now.
been 4 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've written these things, we've produced them, gotten them out the door on a daily basis.
Nearly 1,500 of them. Read 36 million times in
Right.
179 different countries.
But we like Seth Godin, who's a guy that we kind of admire for the fact that he has written something in his blog for years now, for 15 years, right? But Seth
That's
Godin doesn't
unbelievable.
have like an end mark, right?
Yeah.
He's not going to be like, I'm going to take the day off on the 20-year mark.
Yeah.
Right. He might say it out loud. He should do that, right? Except for the fact that he's trying to mention that this is just a part of his life. Like, this is just what we do. And in a lot of ways, we made this commitment to write them every day, but there's no end mark, right? So we're a bit handicapped here to not be able to like choose what the midpoint is because we don't know what the midpoint is. But once a year, we should stop and reflect, right?
Yeah. Right.
So,
look,
by the way, when we reach 10,000 subscribers or 100,000 subscribers, because we've reached 10,000 subscribers a while back, now that we're 87,000 subscribers and we're getting close to 100, that's something
we want to mark that. We would like to
our
mark
managing
that.
partner. Yeah. And so we might mark it publicly for everyone, but
Sure.
How do you mark it internally? So you need to choose whatever that 2068. So for some of us, you have to choose what that 100% mark is.
Well, look, I mean, as we would note, this particular edition, and we've done these conversations about the daily field note live. We did them on X for a long time, for a couple of years, and now we're doing them in Substack and multi-streaming it, inviting people into the conversation to say, if you like field notes, well, then let's just talk about it. So you can listen to it in a podcast, whatever form. But the idea here is to say, well, it would be great if we had 100,000, but this is also not a sprint. And I've mentioned before, there was a meme that went around about the football coach who was like, are you willing to sprint when the distance is unknown? Which is actually silly because you can't sprint for very long at all, no matter how hard you're trying. And you can run for a long time. And it's sort of a marathon of sprints where you're going to sprint and then you're going to walk a little bit, then you're going to sprint again. But for Seth Godin to write, and I just looked it up while you were asking, because it's been 20 years he's been doing it. So he passed last year 8,000 posts. We're at about 1,500 doing them once a day. Now, his are sometimes really short, but they're always pithy, right, and helpful. Dr. Rob Gilbert, who I think does a great service on his Success Hotline phone line, I think he's been doing it for way longer than that. Like it's been like 30 years or something like that. Every single day, a phone message just to kind of pump people up every day. Fantastic. That just shows a persistence of deliberation over time. But marking those things in some way, well, wait a minute. Today, this edition is coming out anyway, is on for the publication of the field note on the 4th of July, which is the Day of Independence here in the United States. But again, we have field note readers in 179 different countries. It is 249 years. Next year is the 250th Independence Day for the United States of America. That will be marked in a special way, more special than 249. Yeah. How are you doing this in your family and organizations that you lead, with people that you lead, where even if you're saying, I've noticed what you've done, and it's not even the thing that is like the big moment. It's like, let's just celebrate and reflect on what you pulled off. Right. And I noticed that. That's what you're looking for, is that when people say, oh, you did, you saw that.
Yeah.
Maybe when they didn't think anybody did.
Right. Right. And the key thing here is to make the celebration appropriate for what it is.
That's it. Yeah.
Your desire to make it better than the last one, right, is not the right thing, right? Your notion about it's got to be a little bit better than what I did before, not really there, right? You don't have to be there, right?
It can just be taking time to be like, let's just sit down and talk about like how cool it is that we've done this for as long as we've done it. But it could be, we're going to go and get Korean barbecue tonight. Could be something unusual that, that kind of stands out. And it could be something extravagant, right? But you have to mix it up. And we also know that this is a part of our content around the nature of rewards and exceeding expectations. So it's not that you have to do that all the time, but you have to do it sometimes. And I think that we could all take this idea to heart more seriously, so that we're actually the ones that are not resisting this temptation to celebrate the short-term milestones and wins.
Yes.
There you go.
And holding off on something symbolic here, I think, is just another nice little thing, right? So if you're going to go out to Korean barbecue, maybe you intentionally hold up your glass and say, we're not going to raise glasses because we've got stuff to do.
We
right?
got more work to do. Yeah. We're not pouring the scotch. Yeah.
So the symbolism is really what's most important there. So say something about it.
Love it. All right. Thanks, Mikey.
Thank you. We'll talk soon and have a good weekend. Bye now.